Alright, I've got some in the bush over there, some still up there, and some down on the ground. I don't know what's what. I guess I should be explaining what I'm doing. My wife called me today at work, and said she'd see more bees in the air than she's ever seen before, so I knew it couldn't be good. Luckily, they just went 1 yard away, and that's where she saw them kind of congregating. So as soon as I got off work, I came over here, and sure enough, in this bush, a huge swarm of bees. So now I'm just trying to get my bees back. I've never caught a swarm before, so this is kind of like, okay, I've seen it on YouTube 1,000 times. It can't be that hard, right? We're about to find out. It's really super windy today. I think that's probably the reason they only went 1 yard over. Is I think the wind was so strong. I mean, it's really, really windy today. So maybe that worked to my advantage. I see them going in. There's also a lot of bees in the air, but that may mean that they don't know where the queen is. Just like me. We're all in this together. Yeah, I shook the oak tree again. Mass chaos. It's gonna be dark soon. I'm tired. It's been a long day of work. I hope they just cooperate. Be good little girls. Got bees? Yeah. Can't tell if I'm doing a stellar job or an absolutely horrible one. I fear the latter. Wish it wasn't so dark down there and you could see what the hell's going on. That's about as bright as I can get it though. I think they're marching in, but hard to tell. Okay, I thought it would be easier to shake the rest of the bees into that second box rather than continually disturbing the bees in the first box. Now I seem to have two clusters of bees, one in each box. I don't know which one has the queen, so I guess I'm just going to wait a while and see which box all the bees go to. And that will be the box. They've definitely calmed down, and I don't see a large gathering in the bush. So I think the last shake, I don't see a gathering in this bush anymore either. And everybody on the ground down here is poured into one of these two boxes. It's kind of like let's make a deal. They don't know which curtain to pick. So the queen, to my best guess, is in one of those boxes. At least they definitely know she's not in the tree anymore. And they are starting to settle down, so like I said, let's see what box they go to. Okay, it definitely looks like they're coming from the box on the left with the yellow cork into the box on the right, which was the original box. They're pouring over right there where the boxes are touching. Hoping that means the queenie is in that box there. So once they all figure out and get over to that box, there's way less in the air. Once I put the cork in the top of that box, I think what was happening, they were going into the box on the left, filtering up, realizing the queen wasn't there, coming up out of the hole and flying around trying to figure out what was going on. But by putting the cork in there, it's forcing them to congregate in the box and then move down where they see everybody else going. That seems to be working. It's a lot of bees, so I'm really glad that I didn't lose them. But it's so windy, and I need to check the hives bad. Last weekend I couldn't. It's so rough this time of year. The wind is so heavy. It storms every other day. Plus I've got work. So trying to get a time when the weather's cooperating and I can get in to see the bees and keep them from swarming, it's almost a lose-lose situation. So my wife just happened to be walking the dogs when she saw them taking off across the alley into the neighbor's yard here. If she hadn't seen them, I would have had no clue they were here, because I came over and looked. I was like, I don't see them, and I started to leave, and I thought, maybe I need to look a little better than that. So I came back, started looking in the shadows, and sure enough, they were up inside this bush. So I'm glad I came back. I would have lost them for sure. We're supposed to have heavy thunderstorms tonight, so it would have been tough going for these girls, because there's supposed to be a line move through. I think they said around 8 or 9. It's supposed to be pretty severe. So I haven't even had a chance to get home and check the weather radar because of this. So fortunate in so many ways, not just for me, but for them. Because I don't think they would have enjoyed what is coming. Now to figure out which of my 4 hives threw off the swarm. All 4 of those hives are, I think, from the same genetics now, because of it's been split so many times from that main one. This reminds me of the first time I went to do a cutout. I'll share that story with you now. Went to this apartment complex, and it's 3 stories up. They're building these brand new apartments, and they don't have any of it finished yet, so there's no balconies in place. You're just out there wide open. So I'm 3 floors up. They put a cherry picker right outside the balcony just to kind of make me feel a little safer, so it's not just looking straight down. Get up in there, start removing some of the plywood, because some of it's been finished out and they've got in behind there. I've never done this before. It's my first time. It was a friend that called me and knew I had bees, said, hey, we're building these apartments. These bees have been there for several months, but we got to finish it out now, so I need to get them out of there. I'm like, sure. I show up. There is every worker's family has come out to watch the great beekeeper catch these bees that have swarmed into this thing. There are wives, there are children. I'm surprised they weren't selling cotton candy and hot dogs. There's a sliding glass door between me and them. They're standing inside. But none of the roof is finished, so it's wide open. So as soon as I go to cutting in this thing, these bees are not pleased. They're not pleased at all. It's getting close to being dark. I had no choice. He said if I didn't get them that day, he's going to have to kill them. Here come the bees. Pop, 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 pop. I take several pops. And as my gloves start getting saturated with honey, I start taking a lot more pops until I couldn't even hardly feel them anymore, and I was running on a high of bee venom. But when I turned back around, I noticed that none of the crew that was watching me was even there anymore, because the bees had went over the glass door and started popping them too. So thankfully, that kind of made it a little easier. I was able to finish that job and not have a million people watch me, because I fell down a few times. I was getting stung. It was chaos. It was unorganized chaos, as you can imagine, for your first cutout. And coming up there to do that and having families and children and all of them come out to watch me, I wanted to turn, get in my car, and run at that moment, and there was nowhere I could go. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed that little story. I think this is about to be a wrap here. I'll let them settle down, probably take 5 more seconds of video at the end to show you that we got them back home, and that'll be it. Back in a bit. Well, I'll tell you what, when you're wrong, and I'm wrong. The queen is in the left box. I just saw her. So now, rather than try to get her to the right box, do I shake all the bees into the left box? Oh my God, it's chaos again. Maybe this will work out. Girls that aren't pleased. Whereas before they were tolerating it quite nicely. of the breed. That's great. Twigs. Pick up sticks. I guess I'm blocking the camera view. Probably make it for a great video. Dang, I thought we were about done. Now I feel like we're just getting it all stirred up again. And in fact, that's exactly what we've done. Hopefully they'll all smell the queen and go down in there. I saw her, she started to come out and go into the other box, and I don't know if it's that she saw me or what, but she turned around and ran back the other way. And then she circled around underneath some bees and I lost sight of her. And you know how those cardboard boxes are, they got folds every which way. Rather than chase her around in that with these big bulky gloves, I figured it was easier just to move all the bees to her, because sooner or later they're going to go to her anyway. I've never shook that many bees before. It's kind of weird how they all pour out in a big clump like that. It's a very enjoyable feeling. It's like there's that many fewer that aren't in the air flying around me. Looks like they calmed down a lot quicker this time though. This side has really calmed down. I've dumped the rest of the bees over here. As you can see. And I desperately, I can't even talk. I desperately need them to go in there. Sooner rather than later. I'd like to go home, you know, get some dinner. Trying not to scoosh any bees. Now, now it's not looking so bad. And other than the few bees I stepped on in the process, I think I got every one of them. Probably stepped on 20 though, and I feel bad about every one of them. When there's 1,000 in the air and I've got size 13s, it's kind of hard to even take one step though. Alright, that time I was right. They went all inside, every one of them. I even waited for the last few little stragglers as they came zinging in at the last minute. And the wind's starting to pick up and I see a few droplets of water on the ground. So I think we just beat the rain. And I'm tired. So now, which one of those threw off the swarm? I know it wasn't this one, it wasn't powerful enough. One of these three. Place your bets. Hopefully we'll check this weekend. I'm betting on blue. Always go with blue. Alright, my first swarm successfully caught. Woohoo! Hope you've enjoyed it. This is Josh in Plano, Texas.